Hello again, everybody. Well, today we are going to be checking out something interesting. It's going to be Christmas at the Craven's house. Now, you can see that it's a little rainy and a little nasty, and I am going to have to film in night vision because they've got this set up to be like the old days where it's quite dark and the camera just quite can't capture all of it. So, apologies for the green tint and maybe a little bit of the fuzziness, but we're going to have some fun today. So let's check out some interesting history and see some music and just have a fine old time even in this rainy weather. Let's go have some fun.
In any case, so the way this presentation is going to work tonight is we're going to be kind of venturing back to December 1863. And we're going to kind of visit 4 vignettes. Some of these vignettes, if you will be taking place here on Lookout Mountain. Some of them will be in far-off places like New York or Pennsylvania. So I will ask you to kind of suspend your disbelief in a few places to say, all right, I'm not in Chattanooga right now. I'm off in, upstate New York or Pennsylvania, or I'm maybe even in downtown Chattanooga right now. So again, welcome to December 1863. This is the 3rd Christmas that Americans have spent at war. Up until this point, and again, I know this is about to be like just a really depressing start of a holiday program, but up until this point, around 500,000 people have been killed or died in service. Well over 1 million people have already been wounded or who are sick. For many Americans, both North and South, black and white, it feels like there kind of is no end in sight. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, that wasn't planned. But it kind of feels like there might be no end in sight. But here's the thing. In December of 1863, there kind of was an end in sight. Because just the month before, on November 24th, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, 1863, here in Chattanooga, had been a series of battles that took place here on the slopes of Lookout Mountain and throughout the city. And those battles had helped turn the tide of war. Now, they don't know it yet because, they don't have the benefit of being able to see into the future. But those moments are going to prove to be a turning point, a beginning of the end of this war, if you will. And so as we explore some of our different vignettes, we'll kind of be examining how different people are responding to Christmas for the holidays, December 1863. Our first, let me go in and just say this really quick before we get going too much farther. Please feel free to take all the photos you want. I will say once we get inside, I will encourage you to turn your flashes off. That's not just to keep from blinding your fellow tour participants, but also, low lighting isn't going to show up really well in your flashes. It's just going to wash everything out. We don't want to blind or startle any of our folks. All right. So what we're going to do at this time is we're going to make our way around the corner here. And as we do so, I want you to suspend your disbelief for where we are.
That's a good thing though, right? At least we're not in the rain. We're not on the balcony. We're nice and
Well, that's true.
Dry.
It usually takes us a couple of weeks to dry our uniforms out. Mine weighs about 40 extra pounds whenever it gets soggy wet.
if I got that on, it's about 100 extra pounds.
Well, this is good.
The whole
It's good
world.
right now. Just what the whole idea. Sure. Well, at least our armies are victorious.
Gentlemen, attention to orders.
More orders.
Really?
More.
I don't need
Give me
it.
light, gentlemen.
Not tonight, no. What are we gonna get?
Headquarters, Department of the Cumberland, Chattanooga, Tennessee, December 25th, 1863. General Orders, number 296. It is ordered that a national cemetery be founded at this place in commemoration of the battles of Chattanooga, fought November 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th, and to provide a proper resting place for the remains of the brave men who fell upon the fields fought over upon those days, and for the remains of such as may hereafter give up their lives in this region in defending their country against treason and rebellion. The ground selected for the cemetery is the hill lying beyond the Western and Atlantic Railroad, in a southeasterly direction from the town, over there. When the ground is prepared, notice will be given, and all interments of soldiers will be thereafter be made in the cemetery, and all now buried in and around the town removed to that place, by command of Major General George H. Thomas.
they've got a cemetery now.
Yes, sir.
So that means we need to go find our friends.
Yes.
Well, I've got a note here. Someone wrote when they buried them initially, said, we buried them just around the point, about 40 rods from the White House, which is where we're standing. Their heads lie towards the east, commencing at the right. They are in the following order: Felix Flora, Martin Ayers, George Mayo, Robert Smith, and Thomas Lee. So, boys,
Let's go get our stuff and go get them.
Let's go, gentlemen.
Right here in our very city, yet right out that direction, is a relic of Christmas 1863 here in Chattanooga, a relic of the battles that were fought here. Chattanooga National Cemetery was established by an order of General George H. Thomas, commander of the Union Army, the Cumberland, 155 years ago this holiday season. And so when we think about Christmas 1863 in Chattanooga, there's perhaps no bigger event than that. However, the war is not just affecting soldiers who are having to go disinter their comrades or to fight the next battles. The war is also affecting people on the home front. And so at this time, we're going to kind of allow ourselves to be transported to a home in New York State, where a family is preparing for a Christmas party, but they've just received a letter from the front, from right here in Chattanooga. So right this way. I think everybody's inside. So again, we've now kind of been transported, if you will, as we went through that door. It's now Christmas 1863 in upstate New York. And we gather in a family parlor as they prepare to begin a Christmas party that's going to be beginning here soon, later this evening.
December 2nd, 1863. I take the earliest opportunity to inform you that I am alive and well after 8 days of the hardest work I have yet experienced for the good cause against the rebels. It is glorious to be a soldier after the battle is over, when we have returned to our comfortable quarters to rest on our laurels bravely won, to think and talk of daring deeds we each and all have done, to show the narrow escape from the enemy's bullets. One had had his haversack shot away, another his clothes riddled, another his bayonet scabbard cut off. Lookout Mountain is ours, and Napoleon outdone. Come and see Lookout Mountain, or you will never know what wonderful deeds American soldiers have done. What a wonderful letter. Wonderful news from the front. Encouraging. I think he might be home by next year. Well, we need to start getting ready for the Christmas party. We need to begin warming up our instruments. You invited guests, feel free to sing along if you know the words.
So often when we think about the Civil War, we think about the battlefields, but on the home front, people are experiencing these holidays with kind of that same level of kind of homesick, if you will, but they're still trying to carry on their lives as if it's as normal as possible. And so you can imagine if you're living in New York, or you're living in Pennsylvania or Massachusetts or Illinois or somewhere way far off, the war is affecting you. Maybe there's an empty chair at the table somewhere, but your experience is going to be getting those letters periodically. And families throughout the North in December of 1863, that's right about the time that they're getting their letters from loved ones who fought here in the battles for Chattanooga in November of 1863. But this idea of home front, it's kind of the same word, but it can mean two different things depending on exactly where you are. So the home front can be a long way away, like here. But in the next room, we're going to kind of allow ourselves to be transported to a home front that's perhaps a little closer to the battlefront. So as we enter the next room, we're going to be meeting a family in Northwest Georgia. So this next room is going to be a family living room in Northwest Georgia, between Dalton and Atlanta, Georgia. kind of in between the Confederate Army and kind of the rear. And they're trying to make the best of what may prove to be their last normal Christmas.
But my dad figured we were going to have some blossoms.
I know the soldiers came and got the last of our eggs, and we're decorating the tree. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Well, it looks nice. Did you put in your dried fruit?
The tree. The tree. Oh, I have something for all of you. Hold on one second. Hold on a second. We have got some of our little Christmas crackers. One for you. Benjamin, one for you. Madeline, one for you. Liam, one for you. So there you go, yeah. Open them, see what's in them. See what's in your Christmas crackers.
I think I got pink.
I got some of those in Dalton. There were just a few left, so enjoy them.
Thank you. And did you get? Ooh, a molasses stick and a peppermint stick. Ooh, you got 3 peppermint sticks. Liam, what kind did you get? Oh, there went part of a peppermint stick. Thank you.
You got lemon.
Ooh, you got lemon.
It's watermelon.
Yeah, watermelon and lemon.
Yeah.
Yes, dear.
Are we going to have to move?
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Not this Christmas.
No, you
But we may have to move soon. We may have to move soon. Head to see Uncle Lucy. Aunt Lucy. We'll go to see Aunt Lucy. Probably have to leave soon.
Yeah, we may have to go to Savannah.
Why Savannah? Why can't we just stay at our home?
We're going to try, but it's been really rough the last year in this area, and so we are. But we're not going to think about that. We're going to think about Christmas, and maybe Saint Nick will put something in your stocking.
Anyways, I got something for all of you.
Okay.
I got something for all of us.
What does Madeline have? Oh, Madeline has the gifts.
Yeah.
There should be one for each of you. Just one this year.
Like, I'm going to give Benji, here, you get a nice gift.
Careful.
It's what?
Oh, thank you. My favorite. I love it.
It's a cutie bag.
Did I get a new scarf?
Maybe.
And then, is it some nesting dolls? Yeah.
And Liam, did you get a new shirt?
Very good. Very good. Peppermint for me?
So what are you guys making?
Gingerbread cookie. The last of the ginger,
Oh my gosh!
some molasses, and the last of our
Cat
eggs.
licking your birthday cake. Malin loves cat licking her birthday cake. Those horses look really well. I could have cat licking your birthday cake.
Okay, Benjamin.
These horses look great. I could have made them better. You could have made them better.
Okay,
What did I have?
Maybe the horses.
maybe we can,
Maybe the horses can bring.
Hey, look. I have another cat.
maybe for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day,
I
we
bet
can
there's
keep
the chocolate
everyone
inside.
in our prayers that's not having a good Christmas like we are.
We are thankful for what we do have, aren't we? Aren't we thankful for what we do have? Yes, we are.
Is this cute?
I love that. That is so sweet.
And the rest
It's a little bitty one.
And the rest are good size. Or for our family. Moved in software. Okay, look what I got.
It'll be okay. We're not moving this Christmas. This Christmas is just going to be right here at home.
this Christmas kind of right here at home is kind of all that a family in Northwest Georgia can do. Again, we as historians, we have the benefit of hindsight. We know the storm that is coming. We know that in 1864, two large, vast armies are going to move between Dalton all the way towards Atlanta. And anything and anybody caught in that path is either going to have to leave or get chewed up by that storm. And so, if you can kind of imagine this vignette by May, June of 1864 is long gone. If we were to revisit this same family in Christmas 1864, this would be an empty shell. Just an empty room, perhaps burnt out columns. But again, we have the benefit of hindsight. We know what's coming. They don't necessarily know what's coming, but that doesn't stop people from speculating. And so as we move into the next room, we're going to allow ourselves to be transported into downtown Chattanooga, into a home on First Street, near the intersection of First Street and Walnut Street. Where a group of Union officers has sort of commandeered, if you will, a local home to turn it into Army headquarters. And as they are sitting around the table late at night, kind of thinking about a Christmas dinner or maybe getting ready for one, they're going to kind of be speculating about maybe what will the next year hold. What will Christmas 1864 potentially look like? So right this way. Oops. All right, so again, we're in a house on First and Walnut Street, and I heard somebody saying that some of y'all may remember that some of those houses still being there. Some of the houses that were up there on the bluffs were used by different Union officers as Army headquarters. But these were civilians' homes, and so that holidays they still would have been decorated for Christmas. But instead of maybe a family sitting around the Christmas table, it's a group of officers beginning to speculate over the next year.
Gentleman, President Lincoln said Chattanooga was the gateway to the Deep South, and we held it. We opened the gateway. I've heard rumors around headquarters that this time next year we'll be in Augusta, Georgia, celebrating Christmas.
Well, who did you hear that from, Colonel?
I can't say, but that's the rumor around camps.
Well, I hope to be at home on furlough in a few weeks. Augusta, Atlanta, Savannah, doesn't matter to me. I just want to see my wife and my family.
That's another rumor too, that some of us will get a Christmas furlough, and that would be mighty nice.
Well, I'm just thankful this Christmas I got through the last year. We finally broke the cracker line, and I can quit eating rats and corn from where the mules had dropped it.
Hear, hear.
Heard some.
We're glad of that.
Yeah. I heard some lady was catching cats and cutting their heads off and skinning them and selling for rabbits. I think I've eaten a few of them myself.
I'd like to catch that woman.
Well, meat's meat, though, so that's
right.
That's pretty good there, Captain. I like that.
Yeah.
The furlough sounds really good there, Captain Drew. I really think that would be something fabulous. But you know, I've got so many young men in a hospital down on Front Street that'll never see their home again, because this battle has left them incapacitated. And Colonel, whatever you could do to get us medical supplies, may God bless you for doing.
Sir, you bring me some requisitions and we'll get those filled out.
We'll do that, sir. First thing and first light.
Gentlemen, a toast to our victory.
Indeed.
Who's all? Talking about President Lincoln, I heard rumors McClellan's going to be running against him.
We do have an election coming up next year, and
Yeah, they don't like to hear anybody say anything against OA, but
that could change the outcome of the war too.
yeah.
Captain, I'll interrupt this political talk. I believe you have a poem.
I have, sir. I recently learned of the poet, Mr. Longfellow, who has written a Christmas poem. And it's a rather lengthy poem, and so I certainly won't try to attempt to recite all of it, but a few of these lines are actually quite beautiful, put me in mind of the Christmas season. The poem goes as follows. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair, I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep, God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. Brother Beautiful.
Amen. Amen. So on Christmas 1863 here in Chattanooga, the National Cemetery is established. But also on Christmas Day 1863, the famous poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow had composed his famous poem Christmas Bells, which many of you know is the Christmas Carol, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. And one of the verses in there I think is kind of poignant as we kind of conclude. It's one of the ones that we don't often sing gathered around at Christmas parties. It says, "Then from each gun's accursed mouth the cannon thundered in the south, and with the sound the carols drowned of peace on earth, goodwill towards men." It was as if an earthquake rent the hearthstones of a continent and made forlorn the households born of peace on earth, goodwill towards men. As these guys are preparing to go off and fight the next year's war, those cannons are going to thunder across the South. These men, they don't know it yet, but they're going to spend Christmas 1864 in Savannah. And Christmas 1865, they'll be home. And that brings us back to the world in which we live. We live in the world kind of created by those actions here in Chattanooga in 1863. We live in the world that is created in the aftermath of this Civil War, this conflict that we can't escape anywhere in this city. No matter where we go, we see the monuments for it. We see those tablets. We see troop position markers all over the place. But we live in the world that is born here in this city 155 years ago, this holiday season. So with that, thank you all for visiting with us. Before we kind of go out the door, I do want to acknowledge the Lookout Mountain Beautiful Garden Club. It comes out every year for this program and does all the decorations. I can assure you that me and all these guys did not do that. But so we do want to thank them. Again, as you're driving down the mountain, please be careful, drive safe, and please enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. And I do encourage you to, at some point over the holidays, go out to Chattanooga National Cemetery and walk those graves, if for no other reason, just because, again, this is the 155th anniversary of that being established, and there's perhaps no better monument in this city to what happened here than that hillside. So again, thank you guys, and we're going to head back out on the porch here.